Welcome to this lecture on evaluating educational materials. The learning objective for this lecture is for you to demonstrate the ability to find, read, understand, and objectively as well as critically evaluate educational materials concerning specific conflicts and their causes. One of your duties as an NCRP practitioner will be to train others how to negotiate, mediate, and build peace. At the master's level, you should be a trainer of trainers. This role will require you to research, evaluate, and select educational materials to provide training in NCRP. To outline this lecture, I will discuss learning outcomes, attributes of learners, learning objectives, methodologies of creating a lesson plan, evaluating learning, and I will provide links to some training resources. Educational materials for conflict resolution come from a variety of academic disciplines and organizations. Many of the tables I will discuss in the next few slides come from Bill Waters' Delphi study in 1999. At that time, Bill surveyed professors from over 20 graduate conflict resolution programs. Dr. Denise Williams represented our program in the study. This chart identifies the overall focus of the dispute resolution academic field as interdisciplinary, an interrelationship between practice and theory, a problem-solving focused area of study, and it has a purpose of generating knowledge and frameworks for resolving conflicts. Interestingly, the respondents believed that dispute resolution is more a science than an art. Waters' Delphi study identified the most important skills for master's students of conflict resolution. The most important skills being mediation, conflict assessment, communication, ethics, and negotiation. This chart summarizes the different conflict resolution skills, and it ranks them on a scale of 1 to 7. In addition to core skills, the Delphi study identified essential areas of knowledge. One of the skill sets that I believe is missing in the study was evaluating NCRP educational materials. Also, the whole component of training negotiators, conflict managers, and peace-building practitioners is also missing. The essential areas of knowledge will vary according to the organization you are training for. For example, mediators in a community dispute resolution center may not study dispute system design or need to understand the underlying social, psychological, or sociological theories. Lesson objectives often begin with SWBAT, or students will be able to. It's an objective statement. It's followed by an action verb for the learning objective, such as mediate, negotiate, facilitate, reform, transform, or a whole bunch of other terms. You could actually Google action verbs for learning objectives and you will find hundreds of results. Next, you will have the process, product, or outcome of the learning objective. An example of this will be students will be able to summarize the interest of both parties in a mediation simulation, or students will be able to create a scale to measure negotiation self-efficacy. Selecting educational materials also requires you to consider the attributes of the learner, such as age, educational level, gender, disabilities, social economic status, cultural differences, or other demographic variables. You should also consider whether you are teaching adults or children. You should use different teaching methods and different levels of materials when teaching adults than children. Adult learning and teaching is referred to andragogy, where children teaching and learning is pedagogy. Some of the main difference in andragogy: the instructor is the guide on the side, whereas in pedagogy, the instructor is the sage on the stage. When you're teaching adults, learners help the instructor design optimal methods for demonstrating mastery of the learning outcome, whereas when you're teaching children, the teacher assesses the mastery of learning. Also, with adults, learners compare their own work with the standards. And when you're teaching children, the instructor usually grades the work. The list goes on. Instruction is leveled from less difficult tasks such as rote memorization to metacognitive processes such as evaluating one's own learning process. Bloom's taxonomy provides the different levels of thinking while learning, the lowest levels being the easiest, and it goes up from knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and the highest level is evaluation. There is a variety of teaching methodologies in NCRP beyond assigning reading and term papers. Our field has many different activities requiring cooperative learning. The field of education has many different lesson plan formats. Kestner and Ray in the Conflict Resolution Training Program provides the 4 Ds of lessons, which include describe, demonstrate, develop, and discuss. On the right side of this slide, I provided the parts of an academic lesson plan. We also have a variety of educational materials to choose from, which includes books, journal articles, handbooks, training guides, nonprofit mediation service manuals, role plays and simulations, videos, multimedia, and websites. Here I created a brief checklist to evaluate educational materials for NCRP. Some of the things that you should look for are the different variables of the media, organization of the content, quality of the content, and whether the educational materials have some kind of evaluation tools to see if the students have mastered the learning outcomes. Druckmann and Robinson provide several questions to ask to evaluate role play or simulation activities, such as what issue will be simulated, what kind of party structure will be simulated, what purpose will be served by the simulation, how will context be represented, and what kind of data will be collected for analysis. I have found several different catalogs of published conflict resolution educational materials. For peer mediation and school-based conflict resolution, I usually use the materials by Bodine, Crawford, and Scrumpf. The Conflict Resolution Training Program by Kestner and Ray has a leaders and student manuals, and I usually use this as a guide in community mediation programs. A textbook I often refer to is Negotiation by Lewicki, Sanders, and Berry. It also has a supplemental book of reading exercises and cases. It is in its 6th edition and has gone through many revisions. The Harvard Law School program on Negotiation Clearinghouse has many instructional materials, role plays, and simulations that I have used throughout the years. I have also used activities from the workbook for Getting to Yes titled Getting Ready to Negotiate. I'm sure there's a lot more materials out there. To demonstrate mastery of this outcome, you need to select an artifact that shows your critical analysis of educational material related to NCRP. I look forward to reading your artifact and your reflection that critically analyzes educational material related to negotiation, conflict resolution, and peace building.